Here we are. It's Halloween, the spookiest time of the year. We've taken a look at some of the most influential Halloween romps of my past, but now it's time for the one that stands above all. If you were watching Cartoon Network in the early 2000s, chances are you would have seen two movies constantly during the October season: Scary Godmother Halloween Spooktacular and The Revenge of Jimmy. Nothing in the whole world could get me more excited for Halloween, and I'm so happy to be sharing it with you all today. But first, a quick bit of history. Scary Godmother was created by Jill Thompson as a graphic novel type series in 1997, spanning over many storylines over the next few years. The stories would revolve around the adventures of Scary Godmother and all her friends over in the Fright side, a separate dimension where monsters of all shapes and sizes can live in bliss. Most times, she would be joined by a little girl named Hannah Marie, who would admire the macabre sense of humor that came from the Fright side denizens. So naturally, with an interesting idea and fascinating world, it's a no-brainer to bring it to the screen, right? Well, we aren't quite there yet. Believe it or not, the animated movies aren't based solely on the original books. In 2001, Jill would help produce a stage play based on the character she had created, and it's charming. But this is what the Halloween Spooktacular would be based on, and thanks to Jill uploading it to her YouTube channel, the proof hasn't been lost to time. Humble beginnings indeed. Not long after the stage plays, the series would be picked up and adapted into the beloved movies we're discussing today. Jill would continue to overlook productions, while the animation would be done by Mainframe Studios, of whom you may recognize from making Reboot, Spider-Man the New Animated Series, that reboot of Bob the Builder, and even that Ratchet & Clank movie. Finally, on July 18th, 2003, Scary Godmother would be released onto the world. Wait. July? Yes, July. Not October? Huh. Well, yes, not October, because it was premiered at San Diego Comic-Con. Heck, the US wouldn't even get a widespread until over a year later when it aired on Cartoon Network during the Halloween season. But this didn't stop the growth that classic had. In fact, I'm not sure if Scary Godmother is a massive cultural icon or a nostalgic niche like Goosebumps. But one thing is for certain, I'm not alone in saying these movies shaped me during the spookiest of seasons. And thanks to the glories of YouTube, both are uploaded and brought to crisp quality for viewing pleasure. Links to those will be in the description below. So, grab some candy and don your scariest Halloween costume. Let's take a look at Scary Godmother. Our story opens on a crisp Halloween night where... No, I'm sorry, we can't continue on without me pointing out this kid in the first few seconds. What is this creature? What is this entity that escaped from the SCP Foundation? I'm not sure, but it's clearly a threat to public safety. Someone get on that. Sorry. Our story opens on a crisp Halloween night where kids Bert, Katie, and Daryl are waiting for their friend Jimmy to arrive. Well, speak of the devil's name and the devil shall appear. However, it seems he's not alone. Tagging along is his little cousin Hannah Marie, going trick-or-treating for her first time without her parents. Though the big kids are all ready for a fun night, Hannah's a bit less brave. She worries monsters could be around any corner. So wanting to have a night without her, Jimmy hatches a plan to make Hannah so scared that she'll want to go home, so they can rule the night. The kids take Hannah to the local spook house where they would convince her monsters live there, and that she'd have to sacrifice some candy so the monsters don't come eat everyone. The kids lock her inside where she'd begin to sob, calling upon the needs of her very own Scary Godmother. Determined to show Hannah that monsters can be friendly, she would whisk her away to the Fright side so she can indulge in a spooky party with all her friends. Here she would meet Scully, the skeleton in the closet with a particularly fabulous lookout on his unlife. A boisterous werewolf named Harry, there to indulge in the delicacies that Scully had set out. Count Max and Countess Ruby, alongside their son Orson, would join in, of whom Hannah would quickly grow a friendship with. And finally, Bugaboo, the monster under the bed. Hannah would get to know each, showing that monsters may look a bit scary on the outside, but they're real nice when you get to know them. While Hannah parties in the Fright side, Jimmy and his friends would be waiting outside, expecting Hannah to run out screaming, but she never does. All the kids too scared to make their way inside to get her. Eventually, they do manage to brave it, but little do they know, Hannah had convinced her new monster friends to help scare the big kids. They'd encounter each threatening character, soon being trapped in the basement with Bugaboo, where Hannah would use her flashlight to ward them off. Looking like a hero to the big kids who had thought less of her. Once their theatrics were over, Scary Godmother would give Hannah a key to the fright side, inviting her to come over anytime she likes. This movie feels so refreshing. There's no stakes or threat. It's just a kid learning about the wonders of the spooky season and the monsters synonymous with it. I guess that's why I like it so much. It's cute and gives a sense of joy, celebrating everything Halloween. So with such a successful first outing, a sequel was obvious to release. The Revenge of Jimmy would premiere October 7th, 2005, and promises to bring more fun of the Halloween energy. This one will be more closely adapted from its source material, with a few tweaks to make sure they didn't have to make too many more character models. Seriously, we get to see so much more of the fright side and the creatures that inhabit it within the original story. But hey, a budget is a budget. So let's quickly check out The Revenge of Jimmy. 1 year has passed since that night, and Jimmy knows next Halloween is fast approaching. Ever since he got scared by those monsters, he's only shown malice towards Halloween. He's become paranoid that Bugaboo will come from anywhere to snatch him away, so he figures if Halloween gets ruined, then Halloween will never come, and the monsters will never be able to get him. He tries to smash pumpkins, ruin costumes and candy, and even TPing the spook house. Every attempt to ruin Halloween ends up in some casualty falling upon the fright side, but thanks to Hannah's ingenuity, she's able to make the most out of every situation and restored the lost faith in the holiday. It all culminates in Jimmy trying to ruin the party at Scary Godmother's, but despite his efforts to ruin everything, he actually ends up being praised at the party for scariest costume, as he ends up scaring Bugaboo, the one monster Jimmy feared. Now with a new sense of self-worth and seeing the monsters for the friends they can be, Jimmy joins in the fun and they all happily party the night away. If I'm going to be honest, my summaries will never get the charm of these stories right. If you have any interest, please check them out. Like I said, they're in the description below. Treat yourself this Halloween season. Now I just have to sit and hope the series gets a comeback. Come on people, if the Dancing Pumpkin of all things can get a remake, we can bring Scary Godmother back. There's so many characters and stories to adapt, and I'm sure there's more to be thought up. In fact, if you'd like a video on the comics and unadapted stories, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to talk about all of them. With that, our Spooky Time series has come to an end. Until next year, my friends, good night to all, and to all, a good fright.